Welcome to another episode of the Dad Squad Solutions. So, today is a Kai topic day. So, we're going to be talking about, can I be myself, or am I saying that right? Can I be myself and also be husband material? So, in essence, husband material versus being yourself. So, we did a lot of research and we're trying to figure out what do people say? What do people think about being husband material versus being your authentic self? So we got some Reddit people coming in, and everybody knows how Reddit comments and forums can be. And so I'm going to read one. And then, Kai, I definitely want to hear what you have to say about this. So one woman said, husband material is someone you can spend all your time with and never get sick of them. Someone who makes life easier and happier by just being there. But then they continue to say that husband material can sometimes literally mean just being safe and not adventurous. So, really, Kyle, to you, what is it? What does it mean to be husband material? And then tell us about your authentic self.
For me personally, I would say that being husband material should include like culture, family, faith, and my partner, right? So these are the four aspects that I think about when I think about husband material. And based on what you just read from the Reddit post, I feel like that focuses more on just the partner aspect rather than the whole umbrella of what it is to be husband material. And just to kind of answer the questions based off me personally, I would say that being husband material can go hand in hand with being yourself, right? Because I feel like for me, it becomes a frustration when I have somebody who's trying to change who I am to try and meet a standard that has been set either by society or by whoever. Person to person, I feel like husband material is also subjective at the end of the day. Exactly. It boils down to what kind of husband do you want and what kind of man do you have? Now determine whether you can be husband material and still be yourself. Because no offense, but we do have people who are kind of wild, and that does not fit into being a husband material because you don't want to be with a wild person, a person who goes partying every day. Because for a husband, you need to be able to be present at home, right?
Right.
You take care of your family. You need to be able to make sure that as the family man, as the head of the family, your family is taken care of spiritually, financially, mentally, and your physical presence is also there and it's not lacking. And I feel like that is one of the major reasons of being a present father. That is one of the struggles we have right now in our modern day and age. Now, you can be a guy who goes out, you can still party, you can still do all these things. But then if there's a balance between your party life and your home life, then surely you can be yourself and you can be husband material, right? But you can't have the same habits as a bachelor and still expect that to work in a husband situation now.
Chad, honestly, I want to know from your perspective what it also sounds like, but I also don't want to bring forth this notion of you must be marriageable, right? That's what some of the Reddit people say. Like, don't become marriageable to the point where you've lost your sense of self. And so you've like, in order for you to become a person worthy to be married by, married to someone else, you have to lay down these things, no longer do this, no longer do
Right.
that. And it's like, well, then are you truly getting me? And will that eventually prop back up? Because these are certain things that I thoroughly enjoy doing, which made me me. You see what I'm saying?
Did
What do you get?
did anyone on that Reddit post or page did anyone ever clarify what like what are some examples of what we can and cannot do, and what do they mean by marriageable husband material? Because it's so vague. It's like it's so general. Can we like kind of narrow down some main characteristics that many people, especially I'm assuming women are supposed to give us some idea because it's them who get to define husband and marriageable material in this regard, right? In this aspect. So
Right? Does
Yeah.
being yourself mean staying the same, or does it mean becoming a better version of yourself? Because I feel like the moment you are now marriage material or husband material, does that mean you actually just become a better version of yourself and not necessarily changing who you are entirely? Or does it mean that you just stay the same and you just do the same things that you used to do as a bachelor or before you get married?
There's a pure distinction, right? But hold on, let me talk to Chad real quick. When you become a husband, you become safe. The status quo of what
Reliable.
husbands are, right?
Okay.
They're not ones that take big risks. They're reliable. They are self-aware, which are all great things. But a lot of people that I've seen, they say that you become less sporadic. Like when you're dating, and you do these fancy trips or you do these like amazing candlelit things in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden you become a husband and you're providing, you're making sure there's a home and bills are paid, but it just becomes mundane. That's what at least from what I read, that's what they're saying. Now to answer you, Kai, is I agree with that distinction in that you're not going to do any destructive habits
Yeah.
that you used to do when you were a bachelor, but you can do still some key things that you enjoyed
Right.
with the understanding that, okay, I want to bring my family into this, or my family needs to understand, respectfully, that this is me. Like I like this and I don't want to remove this just because I got married.
We spoke about being safe for a minute there. And take me, for example, I'm a biker, right? I love going full throttle. I speed because it gives me the thrill, it gives me the enjoyment. That's what I enjoy doing. And I know for my partner, um, as a female, she is more cautious about life. She values life more than most men, probably, right? Hey, Kai, slow down. Don't go this fast. Let's try, these kind of compromises, right? And compromising is good in a relationship. That's how it works, right? It's full of compromising or compromisations rather. But then, what if that is the one thing that I enjoy doing? The one thing that makes my partner feel unsafe is my speed, and that's who I am. Are we saying I should change and become a safer driver? I am a safe driver and become a slower driver, or are we saying that I should completely just ignore what her thoughts are and do what makes me happy because
You don't want to maintain the destructive habits that you had before. And so you with this type of fast driving, like I love driving fast. I think that's the one thing that my father-in-law and I share. We love driving pretty fast.
right,
Now, I noticed that when I had kids, I started thinking twice about how fast I was going
right,
because I was like, this is my family in the car, or I have a family. I cannot do these things that will get me hurt just for the thrill of the moment. And
Yeah.
so now you do have some men who will still do, barehanded mountain climbing, go and fight bears in the forest, like all kind of foolishness. And that's their thing. And if their wives are okay with that, then good luck.
there's not version husband material though. That's the question.
But and that's the thing. Like when you get to that point of having conversations with your wife and saying, "This is what I really love to do," and she says, "You know what? I support you on that." For her, that's her terms of husband material.
We are
But
willing to say that it's subjective.
it's very subjective. I
Right.
100% it's completely subjective.
Okay.
But I also, on the flip side of that, though, I could see men who will change themselves in order to marry that young lady. And then years down the line, they regret letting go of certain things in their life that they held dear or that they were really passionate about
Right.
because it didn't fall in line with, with their trajectory of marriage or their trajectory of life decisions.
Right.
Um, And so that, I guess that's where I come from is, did you let go of that just to be married? And if you did, is there some way for you to get that back? Because if you truly are passionate about it, then maybe you should explore that a little bit, and that can help bring even more joy to your life on, in conjunction with your marriage. That's just where I'm coming from.
So can we come down to a point of agreement and find a solid definition of what husband material is, since it's very subjective and it can vary from person to person, right? And as three men here who have different experiences with life, both of you guys are married. TK, you have 3 kids. Chad, we're talking about it. I am unmarried and have no kids whatsoever, right? Now, do you feel like the person you are, TK, the person you are, Chad, and the person I am can come together and come with one like possible general definition of what husband material is? Because when you ask me what husband material is, I'm not just looking at who I am. I'm not looking at the things I do. I'm not looking at the things my partner prefers, because those become preferences, but don't make me husband material, right? When I think of the word husband material, and I mentioned those 4 aspects at the beginning, right? But when I think of husband material, I think of integrity. I think of, am I an honest man? Am I a consistent man? Does that make sense? These things at the end of the day boils down to how safe my wife would be at the end of the day. It boils down to how I would take care of my family. It boils down to how I will run a family spiritually as well, because I'm a spiritual guy, right? And I need to be equally yoked with my partner in that certain aspect as well, right?
Yes.
Can we agree that husband material might look like integrity, honesty, consistency, maybe? Or do you guys have like a different definition? Or
Can I help just a little bit? So I think the caveat there is, husband material is defined in 2 different ways. It is the way men present themselves, and the way women view or perceive a man.
Okay.
And so within those, you have a positive view and a negative view. So what you were talking about was a positive view, right? You're dependable, you're trustworthy, you're spiritually inclined, you're emotionally stable, you're family oriented. Those kind of things are the positive view. When you hear, oh, he's a husband material, you're like, oh, I feel safe. But then you have the negative side, which we've heard some stories before about some married couples where they are safe, they are secure financially, they got it, but then all of a sudden here comes
Romance is
Johnny.
dead.
Yeah, romance.
The romance is dead.
And Johnny from
There's
the
no
woodworks
attraction.
come over and he fixes the pipes, and it's like, whoa. All right, like he is not a family man. You were safe, but yet still there's some form of attraction for this person. And that's
Right.
because some negative view is that the husband material is you're so safe that you're boring, or you're so safe that she respects you, but not necessarily desires you. You know what I'm saying?
That's what makes cheating such a thing today. That's what makes cheating such a thing today. A lot of females find good men, like no shade to the female whatsoever. This is not like a whole thing. I'm just saying a lot of women find a good man who is honest, who doesn't cheat, who doesn't do wild things, who you feel safe with, but then at the end
Salary too. Right,
the salary is stable.
everything's stable. Everything's good. Doesn't do that. Everything's safe. Yeah.
Exactly. But then the women don't feel safe and they go out there looking for like a bad boy, somebody who gives them a kind of excitement, because what they have at home, which is safe, is now considered boring. Does that make sense? Right. So I'm not
In a lot.
that's why I look at things maybe from a positive perspective of like, these are the qualities that you would look for, because nobody goes into a relationship looking for negative things to use as a gauge of whether the relationship you go into, right? Like the negativity comes from who you are as a person. And that's where we were like, can you truly be yourself and still be husband material? Can you be a wild guy who goes out partying every night? You chuck down bottles, you go gambling, you finish the money at home because that's who you are. That's in your nature. That's the negative side of who you are. Right. But
I thought of, if I could interject, I thought of
go
something
for it.
before it slipped my mind. Um, just from a slightly different angle to this topic, being a husband material, uh, you don't want to be a husband material to the wrong person, because there are different types of women out there. And we just have to admit, I think even women themselves, they admit that there are different types of women, just like there are different types of men, right?
Right.
And there are many women nowadays, actually, they see husband material as a retirement plan, as a backup plan, as the guy that I would never date or I would never consider in my 20s. The truth. Yeah. Yeah.
Come to Thailand, but
They would say this. They would say, I would never consider this guy. I would never be attracted or date this person in my 20s.
right.
But when I'm in my 30s, and when I had my fun, I had my experience. Now, this is the safe guy. This is the guy I want to be.
Where we all
want to
have
be
the
my
dad bods, where we all don't look attractive anymore. They're like, you know what?
Yeah, so here's the issue. You don't want to be a husband material to someone like that. You want to be a husband material to the right kind of woman,
Right.
where they value loyalty, they value commitment. They want to be your lifelong partner.
Right.
They don't see you as a backup plan. They don't see you as the safe option. And then in the meantime, they can also have the wild side, and they can go out, like what Kai said, right? They can go out and have their fun with some other guy, right? That's not, that's the wrong version of the husband material. So we got to be very careful with distinguishing the right one, the right kind of woman that define husband material for them, and the wrong ones.
Yeah.
No, this could save some people's life, by the way.
No, seriously, that's really good.
I need to put that down in history.
So here's a twister to this whole thing, though, right? Like we're talking a lot about like some of it, I would believe, is universal. The core aspects of being a husband, but then we also got to think about it. Husband material in between just our three nations might honestly be quite different. To be husband material in Asia, it's more of, well, I wouldn't say more of, but it's generally you are a provider and you are a stoic leader. Like you can lead. You financially, you got it. But career wise, you got it. Like trying to sorry, like freeze for a second. So trying to develop a relationship with just how is that? Just the emotions and no monetary backing behind it is not necessarily looked up upon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but that's husband material.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
I
necessarily.
mean, TK, you brought up a good point, and I thought of one of my, I think I have two Japanese friends. Even within Asian culture, there's some differences too. Like in Japan, I'm not saying every single Japanese woman or wife would think like this, but a lot of them do. They would actually consider a good husband material to be a man that comes home late from work. Quite the opposite of what a lot of other wives and women would want as a husband, that they would come back home early and spend more time and be present, right? But for the Japanese, it's actually a good thing that you're coming home late, because it means that you are in good terms, in very friendly terms with your boss. Usually, what happens after work in their culture is that they go drinking, so they go for a little hangout, right? So if you're not invited, if you're not home late, that means that you're not really in such a good terms or in the favorable, relationship with your boss. So your boss and your superiors, they don't ask you to go out. They don't ask you to go drink with them, and you come back home early. That means you're kind of a failure as a husband. You're a failure as a man.
My boss asks me to go out, but because I'm such an honorable and respectable man and a Christian for that matter, I decide not to go drinking because I want to go home to my family. I want to go home to my kids. Does that still count as boring?
You're being boring.
And it's not about you. I'm sorry, no, as to my boss. But it's not about the bosses after work hours. It's about family. And that's where prioritizing what's important comes into play. Because how much time do I really have at the end of the day with my kids? By the time I get home, if this is a regular thing, by the time I get home, my kids should already be in bed. By the time I have middle to work, my kids are either sleeping or they're already gone to school. Does that make sense? So there isn't enough time to actually spend and be present as a present father. And I think, I don't know statistics wise, but I think this might be one of the places where we have a lot of affected kids or traumatized kids without present fathers because the father chose to go drinking with a boss at the end of the day just to be a man who is considered socially acceptable. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, husband material is not about checking off a list that has been set by society, right? It's about being a man of character, responsibility, and the love while staying true to who you truly are and being true to who God has made you to be. Does that make sense?
You know what? Right there, I'm gonna stop you right there because we need to leave the rest of that because that's some really tight and amazing stuff. Let's leave that to part two because we have people to come back and hear what is it that you can do to be an amazing father, but also keep the core part of yourself.
Yes, or identity. That's right.
There we go.
Kai, take it away.
There we go, guys. So if you guys have enjoyed part one, we encourage you guys to go ahead and like this video, subscribe, share, and comment down below what your thoughts are, what your experiences are with actually being yourself and being considered husband material. Drop it down in the comment section below and would love to connect with you guys, hear what's on your mind, what's on your heart. And yeah, let's interact down below, guys. There we go. See you next time.
Part two.
There we go.